to be launching a tasty pastry. It's a low-carb Pop-Tart. It's got 3 to 4 grams of net carbs, and we love this show. This is our best place to be in LA.
Welcome back to Legendary Foods, Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today is Monday, July 11th, 2022. And let's find out what's going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. Over the last few years, you've had a lot of reasons to celebrate if you're a Missy Truscott fan. You've got the Arnolds, the Olympias, and all the other shows that she's won in between. But this is a historical moment because in the long and storied history of Muscle in the Morning, I think this might be the first time that we've ever featured a fitness competitor on International Chest Day. Recently, we saw Missy's team post this clip of her cranking out a few sets of heavy dumbbell bench presses, which she made look way too easy, just for the record, as she continues her path towards putting her best on display during Olympia weekend. Right now, you can probably make a solid argument for fitness being more competitive at the top than it's been in a long time. But as we've seen so many times in the past, when she's at the top of her game, she's one hard woman to beat. We also have a little bit of International Chest Day action coming at you today from the other side of the globe, courtesy of Josh Lenartowicz, who posted this clip from one of his latest training sessions a few days ago. Earlier this year, Josh made headlines when he announced plans to come out of retirement after stepping away to focus on things outside of bodybuilding, following his last contest at the Arnold Classic back in 2020. According to Josh, right now, he's still in the process of getting his strength and his training back on track, but it is starting to get there slowly, which is probably music to all of our ears if you're a Josh Lenartowicz fan. At this point, there still hasn't been any official word about when or where we can potentially see him back in action. But if he can be anything close to what he was at the peak of his powers a few years ago, then it will definitely have been worth the wait. I know there's an old saying about all being fair in love and war, but if you've seen the newest updates from Regan Grimes, the progress that he's made over the last few months feels like it's about as far from fair as it gets. Regan released these photos as a fair warning shot to let everyone know that the RG Army was planning to show up armed and ready when he hits the Olympia stage in December, where you'd imagine that he'd be looking to unload his entire arsenal. Even though he might not have placed as high at the Arnold or the Boston Pro as some people were predicting, the truth of the matter is that he was still noticeably better than he was at the end of the 2021 season. And at some point, as long as he keeps the long-range targets in sight, it will only be a matter of time before he ends up hitting one of those dead center. More often than not, when you're a consumer, you typically want quality over quantity when you're decided where you want to allocate your resources to, because you can't always have your cake and eat it too. But in our little corner of the world, you need the quantity and the quality if you want to compete at the highest level. And right now, Patrick Moore is doing everything in his power to make sure that he's delivering a little bit more of both the next time he steps on stage. Over the weekend, Patrick released a handful of training clips to give his fans a sneak peek of what he's been working on lately. And as you can see, he's clearly been doing his homework. For someone like Patrick, who has the great aesthetics, trying to figure out where the fine line of adding too much size to the point that it throws off his lines is always a challenge. But if he takes his time with this slow burn approach and he puts the muscle on in a way that complements his physique, then by this time next year, he could be a real X factor in the open class, which would make fighting for one of those top 10 Olympia spots even more competitive. And that does it for yet another edition of Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, reminding you to always be true to your passions and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.